Hi, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of Spill the Spiritual Tea. I'm Sara Elahwari, and I'm your host, and I cannot wait to introduce our first guest. But before that, I'm going to ask you something. I'm going to ask you to stay tuned until the end because we are going to reveal crystal, the name of a crystals and its properties, which can help you to deal with the topic of today, which is change and transformation. But let's go ahead and introduce our first guest, David Fernandez Jr., all the way from California to spill the spiritual tea about change. David is an incredible, and I mean it, incredible actor, director, producer, and an amazing motivational speaker and a podcaster who not only impacted my life, but impacted the life of so many people all around the world. So, hi, David. How are you? And welcome.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I really appreciate it. I'm excited to be on your podcast.
Yay. Great. But there isn't, it's not a coincidence that you are my first guest. And I'm going to explain the listener why. So basically 2 years ago, David saw my page, saw my potential, and saw my passion for healing, and asked me, I was just starting out, and asked me to be on his podcast, which is called Earn Your Life. So this is a full circle. Yeah. For me, and I'm super excited to have you here. But so talking about your podcast, just let's dive right in. I love it. Like, you have so many amazing guests all the time, so many amazing topics, so much vulnerability going on there. But how did this idea come about for you? Like, what was the idea behind it?
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. If anything, first and foremost, I have to say that I saw the light worker in you. You know, I saw the healer in you, and I saw the good heart and soul in you. That's why I interviewed you on my podcast. You know what I mean? So just know that was the reason why I gravitated toward you. And
thank you.
Yeah, and so once again, like, thank you for allowing me to be your first guest. And it is full circle, and I love it. And to answer your question, I began the Earn Your Life podcast came, I think it was a culmination of my journey thus far. Mm-hmm. I feel that Earn Your Life, first of all, I have to say, comes from, and it's going to be tying in perfectly to what we're talking about today.
Yeah.
You know, at age 21, I lost a son at 5 months old, and I held him dead in my hands. And so you could only imagine being 21 years old, not having the tools to face that trauma that I went through, just holding them, you know, in my hands. It just it felt like it destroyed me, you know. And for 2 years I was in complete darkness, struggling, numbing myself with alcohol, doing the very little that I knew on how to survive, and to run away, and to not, you know, to just not feel. Although I was, you know, I felt like I was destroyed inside, you know. And so that's where Earn Your Life was birthed. Is after those 2 years, I went through a lot of things that had me come to this realization that, you know, life is so fragile. And when you're 21 in that stage in life, like, you know, you're still trying to find out who you are. And so for me to have had that experience at that stage in life, it really woke me up. It was a huge wake-up call. And what I received from it was, life is fragile. I want to live for my son. I want to live for myself. And I want to create the most beautiful and amazing life that I can create for myself. That's what came from Earn Your Life. And it's to be the best person that I can be. Am I going to make mistakes? Absolutely, till it's my time to transition. But I'm in this space where I'm realizing, like, hey, everything that comes my way, I am, even though it might be difficult, it might be a struggle, it might be whatever is showing up for me, I somehow, some way, working through my emotions, I embrace it. And so that's kind of where I'm at. I'm in that space right now where I'm embracing all the shit, excuse my language. I'm embracing all the resistance, I'm embracing all of the suck, the resistance, the struggle, anything, the darkness, anything that doesn't feel good. I'm looking at it now through the lenses of like, okay, cool. Why am I going through this? What am
Yeah.
I supposed to learn and grow from this?
Yeah. Yeah. That's thank you so much, of course, for sharing. And I love your vulnerability, and like the way, of course, you talk about your struggle, but in a very empowered, way. And I agree with you completely, because we go through life, and of course there are struggles, there is pain. But even from my own experience, I've been through so much trauma and so much pain, which for so many years I was angry. I was numbing myself again, as you did, like all the time. I was just trying to escape from my reality. And then the thing is, you can only escape it until a certain point. But then if you want to heal it, you need to face it. You need to feel. You need to embrace, as you said, you need to embrace your emotion. You need to embrace the pain that you're going through, and allow it to transform you in the most amazing version of yourself, because there is purpose in pain. And this is something that I've learned from myself. And
Mm-hmm.
I know no one likes pain, and no one likes those uncomfortable emotions, but there is so much power in just taking time to go through them, understand ourselves, understand how our emotions impact our lives, our relationships, and then shift, because shift is possible, transformation is possible. And I'm here to give that inspiration, motivation to people through my own experience. And I talk about it very freely, so then it can impact others, and hopefully, they are willing to go through the healing themselves. So yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, something that came up for me while you were sharing right now, and thank you for being so open, is
Yeah.
is there's a reason why change isn't easy. And I feel, I could only share from my experience, but I feel that we're in this three-dimensional experience in this physical reality, but we're consciousness, we're vibration, we're energy, we're awareness and spirit in the body. Like, we're not the
Yeah.
body.
Yeah.
And what I've learned is, the mind, is, a lot of people think that we are the mind, that voice that we hear. And
Mhm.
it's not. It's an organ. It's a part of this physical body. And the brain is wired to keep us safe and to
Yeah.
preserve us, right? So anytime, it's not wired to for growth. It's not wired for outside the box thinking,
Yeah.
or creativity. It's not wired for that. It's wired to. It's a habitual mind. Basically, it's habitual. So it's a paradigm that got programmed when we were the first 6, 7, 8 years of our life.
Yeah.
And for a big percentage of people, they're not even aware of that. So they just live this cycle, and it's just they're not happy. They're feeling like something they can do more, but they get stuck in this kind of cycle, in this circle, right? And I
Yeah.
think that the the courageous ones, I think a lot of the artists, the creative, the healers, the beautiful people, that light workers per se, right,
Mhm.
are here on this planet right now to be a role model, maybe to also bring awareness. And I think it's a beautiful thing, because you need to have that courage. You need to find that courage to be able to break through the old paradigm that no longer serves us. And that's the thing. I connect everything to water, right? I feel water is life. We need
Yeah.
water to cleanse the external body, the biggest organ, which is our skin. And then we also need to like cry and feel and
Yeah.
release to be able to clean the internal, the inside. And it's wild because if you see a body of water that has been stagnant, it becomes moldy, it gets dirty, grungy. It gets full of toxins, whatever the case may be. And if we connect it to everything around us, and we are primarily made of water, then that means that we have to grow. We have to continually be uncomfortable and step outside that box and get like, uncomfortable to grow. And that's the thing, is that the brain doesn't want to feel uncomfortable. It wants to
No.
feel safe and relaxed, and like it knows what it's
Yeah.
supposed to be doing. It's literally
Yeah.
like kind of like a computer where it's got a software program and that's it. Anytime you interrupt that, meaning you start thinking differently or you start creating a new habit, something that's gonna make you that's gonna serve you and you're a better version of yourself or whatever the case may be, then all of a sudden the red flags start popping off. It's like, what are you doing? What are you
Yeah.
doing? That's scary. The unknown, the unknown, the unknown is the scariest thing on every level, on a physical level, on a spiritual level, on an emotional level, on a mental level, you know what I mean? On all
Yeah.
levels, the unknown is where fear really pops in. And fear is that illusion that keeps us trapped in this physical reality.
That, yeah, I totally agree, and I love the analogy about the stream of water. Like, I'm
Yeah.
definitely going to use it further. I also have another one, but I will tell you later, about resistance to change.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I totally like agree with you, and it was the same for me. I was completely scared. I was not satisfied with my life until like 2 years ago, and I was like, I know I'm meant for more, but I'm just scared to try anything. I'm just scared to like my mind would just hold me back from embracing my potential, and that was frustrating. But then like it just I had to go through a rock bottom, a huge
Yeah.
rock bottom, to just wake up and realize, you know what, like what do I have to lose?
Yeah.
What do I have to lose in trying something different? If this didn't work until now, maybe I can try something different. And it just started very organically, in a way, from my small habits, because we think like that in order to change, we need to do like huge things, huge steps. And that's why it holds us back, because we think we're not capable of. But
Mm-hmm.
it just starts from the little habits, but also from the way that you talk to yourself, from the way that you wake up in the morning. How do you feel your body? How do you move your body? Like these little steps, like each day, can bring to huge change and transformation in your life. So it sucks because it's hard, but if everyone tells me, it's so worth it. So worth it, because the person that I was 2, 3, 4 years ago and the person I am now, it's a completely different experience.
Yeah.
Like the inner peace and the harmony that I experience now. And of course, there are moments of like sadness, fear. Those are parts of the human experience. They will always be with us. But it's just about you being empowered and taking your power back, and really just be present
Mm-hmm.
to the experience, not just live on a sort of autopilot where
Mm-hmm.
life just pass you by, and you have no idea how to leave it. Really, you just are a body that is like a robot that just, okay, wake up in the morning, go to work, stay in
Right.
the traffic, come back home, and do the same over and over and over again,
Mm-hmm.
which makes us extremely unfulfilled and unhappy.
Yeah.
And that's again like change. Like, I've changed my whole life in the last year. I left my secure job last year. I was fine. I had everything that I thought that I was supposed to have.
Mm-hmm.
I worked so hard for this job. I had a boyfriend. I had a house. I had a car. Like, I had everything in the material world. But still, I was deeply unfulfilled. And I didn't know why. So I started to just spend more time with myself and ask the questions: what is missing? What is happening? And it just led me, one thing after the other, to start embracing change. And I left my job, and I left my relationship, which wasn't fulfilling for me anymore, and I changed country, and I start again. Even if I thought at 30 I would be like, oh, as society wants us, yeah, this and that and that. So no, but I'm super happy where I am. So
I
it's
love it.
important that everyone start thinking in this way, that, don't settle for anything that it doesn't makes you feel alive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. It's so deep because, we're here having this conversation, and I went through an experience today which was really profound, and I'd love to share it because
Yeah,
I will explain, kind of like how I responded in the situation. And one thing that we don't really talk about enough, I feel, is the two big pieces to the puzzle when it comes to our decision making and how we respond. And one of them is the victim
yeah,
mindset. The other one is the responsibility mindset. And I lived in victim for a very long time.
yeah.
Anytime something happened to me, is like, why did that happen to me? I can't believe it. Like, I'm trying my best. It was just like I would cry me a river in essence. And I'm not, when I say that, I'm not, how do I explain it? I'm not making light of how I approached it, because when I was in that victim space, it really felt
Felt like
real. It
real. Yeah,
really felt real. Yeah. And so I'll connect it to what I'm about to share. And so today, I sometimes when I step into the unknown, the way it manifests, and I think it's like the inner child in me, because
mm-hmm.
I have such a huge heart, and I'm very open.
Yes, you do.
And I think that I receive a lot of, I've been dealing with working with some people regarding suicide and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
I don't know if I just took on too much or what, but also
Mm-hmm.
in my personal life, I am stepping into another level of, reaching these goals and dreams that I've been working toward. And so I'm leveling up. And so what happened today is the way it shows up and manifests in my physical body is in my chest. Like, I'm not able to take a deep breath. And then,
Yeah,
you could only imagine, if you're not able to take like a full deep breath, there's like a blockage there,
yeah,
at the very end of it, where you just can't really take that full deep breath. Um, that brings anxiety to me.
of
And I
course.
think it's anxiety already happening. That's why I'm showing up in that way. But it's like adds on and intensifies that anxiety. And usually I'm able to work through it or whatever. I always put my hands on my heart and in my chest, and I slow things down, and I go to gratitude, and I ground myself, whatever. But this one was just a strong one. And
Yeah.
I've been going through a spiritual transformation for the last man, at least couple years. I can say it's been a journey, but at least the last couple of years have been strong. Like a huge, like the biggest spiritual transformation that I've ever experienced. And so it's deep because I started to, feel like that. And I checked in with myself. I did everything, and it was still there. And
Still
in that
there.
moment, I chose to put on like a little positive video, right, just to kind of focus, remind me or whatever. And that changed my vibration and my state in that moment. And I made a decision. And so when I was really dealing with anxiety and panic attacks about a year and a half ago,
Mhm.
um, I would do this hike. And at that time, I was running. I was trying to keep myself busy. I did not know how to deal with being alone or in my mind or in my thoughts. Had never dealt with my mind before in my life. And so it was really, really intense. And so something like, I kind of asked for guidance. I always kind of surrender, and I'm like, I need love, I need support. And what came to me was, there's the message is at that hike that I went that I would go through, because I hadn't been there for like maybe a solid 8 to 9 months or more.
Mhm.
And long story short, I got up, and I'm feeling the way I'm feeling, got into my car, popped in a positive motivational video. That's what I always do. It just became a habit now. And I started doing that hike. And so I completed the hike, went up the hill, came back, whatever. Um, and it was deep because the message that I received was, I stepped into responsibility in that
Mhm.
moment. And if I'm able to do a hike, there's nothing wrong with my breathing. It's all
Yeah.
created by the mind. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like
Yeah.
if I can't take a deep breath, trust me, I had to take deep breaths because I was huffing and puffing going up the mountain, whatever, the hill, whatever you want to call it. And so it was deep because that was it. And I feel that before, because I was in the dark, like I didn't have the awareness, the fear would intensify even more. And so I would go to victim even more. And I go, oh my
Yeah.
God, why is
Yeah.
this happening? Why is this happening?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And now
Yeah.
this time I took responsibility, and it's like, I want your viewers, your listeners to really listen to what I'm about to say. And you might have heard this before.
Yeah.
It's not original. I didn't come up with this, but I resonate with it so much. Every single thing is happening for us, not to us.
Yeah.
That alone, when you are able to um, come to that awareness, it's a game changer. Because anytime that you deal with resistance, anytime you deal with any trauma, anything that is not in alignment or whatever the case is, it's all about how you respond. And so, I could say I'm proud of myself for I'm celebrating that win as far as me
Yeah.
going through that. So like I can't take a deep breath, but here I am, climbing,
Climbing. Yeah.
and so yeah, so like I wanted to share that because a lot of people, in this world, and no one's to blame. Like, we're not taught this growing up.
No.
This should be like the number one thing
Yeah. Right.
that
So in
we
school,
educate our
emotional
kids at
management.
schools, man. Oh my God,
And
there's a reason why we're not taught to look within, or to look in the mirror, to be vulnerable, and to really create that space. There's a reason
yeah.
why we're not taught that. And whatever the reason is, I don't care. I think that the awareness is shifting, and it's time for this education and information to come, because I know that we are drowning right now. I mean, the mental health rate is
Yeah.
through
With
the roof.
COVID,
And
especially. Hmm.
yeah, especially with COVID, exactly. And at the end of the day, I mean, it's all divine. Maybe we were put in our homes to deal with ourselves. Who knows?
Yeah, finally to just stop running from everything and everyone,
Right,
from
right. To keep,
ourselves. Yeah, that was for me. That was my. That what happened. Really, I was for the
yeah,
first time confronted to be with myself, and without escapisms, and without like numbing. So what do I do all day at home without being able to go out?
yeah.
And that was tough at the beginning, but then I was like, yeah, okay, like I was starting to learn every time more about myself. And I think that what happened to people, and some people of course are dealing with it better, some people are not, unfortunately, ready. So it was such a huge trauma and shock for them, to just be in isolation. But I'm very positive that we are heading in the right direction in terms of
We are.
vulnerability and openness and sharing our
I agree.
struggles.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
that makes me so happy for everyone out there that felt alone, that didn't feel, especially like, men. And I'm
Yeah,
so like, I love the way you talk and the way you express yourself, the way you're so open about your struggles, because unfortunately there is this concept that, men needs to be tough
yeah.
and no need to express emotion, la la la. So, it doesn't matter. Trauma is trauma for men, women, children. We all need to heal in some way, and talking and expressing it's a way of releasing it in the first place, at least some of the energy that is stuck within ourselves.
You
Like,
know what's ironic, Sarah? I gotta
yeah,
say,
yeah,
what's hilarious on my end
yeah.
is that I play this really tough guy in movies and TV shows in Hollywood, right?
Yes.
And it's hilarious because the way I see it, I'll tell you, is that I've been through a lot of darkness. Ever since I was a little kid growing up,
Yeah,
I saw a lot of unhealthiness and was exposed
yeah,
to a lot of trauma, or whatever the case is. And I think that I finally came to this point where I realized, like, fuck the bullshit, man.
yeah.
Like, I don't have time to be trying to put on this
Masks.
facade or put on these masks. I don't have time for any of that. And when I made that decision, it really was, it really shifted my whole reality. And I actually began to build more authentic relationships in that
Yeah,
way, and support system, and that's the crazy thing about it, is that I feel like I'm blessed because I got a chance to work in the nonprofit world, in the educational system, and create programs or whatever, and just create a safe space where we can be honest with each other and talk about all the isms, all the things that hurt us. And what I realized is that we're all that little boy and that little girl
Yeah.
that's looking for love. You know what I'm saying? Like, once again, we're not taught this. So when everyone is acting like everything is so fine and everything is like they're put together and everything is good, and you're going through fucking shit, and you're struggling and lost and feeling alone, but it seems like the whole world is having the time of their life, of course you're going to feel disconnected. Of
Yeah.
course you're going to feel alone. When you can't be your authentic self, of course you're going to feel like no one understands. The minute that you step into your courage and you share your heart and you are vulnerable and real, and it might be the scariest thing in the world, because vulnerability is scary, right? But the
Yeah,
minute
scary.
you do that, oh my God, everybody, it's like you are the leader and the role model in that space, because
Yeah.
you allow everybody else to do the same. And when we connect from heart to heart, it is the most beautiful magic I've ever experienced in my life. It is
Thank you.
like everything that's needed right now in this world, just to be able to be real, authentic, and connect heart to heart, all the way from adults to kids, and realize that we're all in this together, all going through it together. And like, we weren't given all the answers and we're trying to figure it out. Man, that's such the most beautiful connection that I've ever experienced in my life. The
Yeah.
most beautiful, and that was my medicine to gear me to where I am today. And I'm still a little baby crawling. I still got a lot. I'm still, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
man, to have some tools to be able to support me when I can't even take a deep breath today, because subconsciously I'm scared shitless of the unknown, you know what I'm saying? Is
Yeah.
deep.
Yeah.
It's
No,
deep.
I agree, and to just say, like, from what you were saying about children, uh, that we all like that have that little inner child within. I like to say to my clients as well, like, we are little children
Yeah.
dressed as adults. So it's like that we every day when we go out into the world, we put this mask, like this suit of being an adult, but deep inside we're just children, wounded children that need to process what happened to them, or they're just trying to express themselves in a world that wants to change them, that wants to
Yeah.
make them different, like, parents, society, school, friends. So we try to fit in, we try to shape ourselves, to be liked, to be loved, to be seen, and that's it. We lose ourselves. That's what we
Exactly.
do. We just
Exactly.
create disconnection within, which is like a void. For me, it showed up as a void that never filled. Like, it was
Mhm.
just something, no matter what I went through, no matter what I had, no matter what I bought, no matter what I did, it can never fill in, until I found myself in opening
Yeah.
up to the world through my page, and sharing who I really was and what I really thought.
Mhm.
And 2 years, fast forward 2 years, I'm here, and I feel a sense of fulfillment that I wish everyone to have, and I never experienced anything like that, and
Yeah.
it's absolutely beautiful. And again, it's about resistance, change,
Yeah.
resistance. um, it's again, it's a tough thing to do, to open up,
Yeah.
to just say, like, hey, yeah, I might realize that I'm going through this stuff, and I feel powerless, and I don't know what to do. Can you help me? And just reaching out to have support, or just be vulnerable.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and I like to say, like, I'm going to use an analogy, like the one of the water, because I like water as much as you do, and I'm a water sign as well. I'm a Scorpio, so for me it's all about the flow and being fluid. But like, resistant to change, the way I picture it is like that you are standing in front of a waterfall,
Mhm.
and this waterfall is so powerful. It's so powerful, life force just going very strongly. And you're standing there in your human form with your just hands, and then you try to make sure that nothing escapes, like no little water drop goes
Mhm.
down. So you're trying to do your best and stressing yourself out and trying to push, push, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work
Yeah.
because first, the water will always flow where it needs to, and second, you will get so exhausted, so disheartened, and you will feel like completely lost because you don't know what to do. So the best thing to do is sometimes just let go and allow change to happen in your life, and let the
Yeah.
change bring you through the tumultuous like water, but then it brings you to a very calm river, and then you just flow with it. And this is how I like to say it, even for myself. I've been embracing so much change, and it's scary, and it brings so much up, anxiety
Yeah.
and insecurities
Stress.
and doubts, stress. Yeah, right. That's, no matter how much healing you do, you will always have these moments, because I think people think like they see this people that just got to the top. People, perhaps, they do the same with you. They think like, oh my God, David is an amazing actor. He made it to Hollywood. He's doing this, he's doing that. He has the best life. Like it must have been super easy for him.
Yeah.
But then in reality, once you start looking, no, it wasn't. So we're all having the same experience, some people more, some people less, but we're all going through stuff, even though we try to hide it. So on social media, we just show up, we just pretend that we have an amazing life. That's what I did for years. I was dying inside. I was so depressed, but on social media, I was just having the best time of my life.
Right.
Yeah, and that was a way of hiding myself from myself and from the world. But then no more.
I love that. It's so deep. What came up for me when you were talking about your water analogy, which is powerful, by the way, is humility and ego.
Yeah.
I think that it's very difficult for people to dive into humility because of the "I'm not good enough" programs. Because the minute we attach these stories, if I ask for help, then I don't know, or I'm not smart enough, or I'm stupid, or I'm not good enough, or whatever comes up, whatever programs come up. And I think that's a big one, is that our mind wants to be in control. And it's an illusion. It's not real. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's an illusion. That's a very hard one to capture, right?
It is.
But it is, because it feels so real. You know what I'm saying? It felt real when I couldn't take that deep breath today, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I think that for the listeners, one thing that I'd share as well is
any tool or something that you want to just
with humility comes surrender. And comes faith. So it's kind of like when we drop down to our, because mind is fear is in the mind, right? And it's the trickster, and it's the ego telling you that it's in control, when in reality, I'll give you a fact. We don't see not even 95 or more % of what our eyes see, because our brain protects us, because if it did, we would get overwhelmed.
Yeah, we have our special lenses.
Oh yeah,
we see the world.
Yeah, and it'll make up stories to match up, to make us think like we know what the heck we understand and know what the heck we're talking about. But at the end of the day, when our mind tricks us, or it's in fear, when, let's say, in connection to change or growth, or trying to step towards a new habit or whatever, if we drop down to our hearts, that's where the humility and the faith comes in. And it's kind of like Bob Proctor used to say a quote that he shared from somebody else, and it was something along these lines: the cave you're afraid to enter holds the treasure that you seek. And the way I see it is, he was my mentor, and I'm kind of supplementing that as well, because I've kind of learned it through my experiences, that our heart is the light. And so for us to be able to dive in to that dark cave, the unknown, what we can't see, we have to drop down to our hearts, because our heart will light up that cave, that dark cave. And once we're able to see, we will realize that it was always an illusion. So I mean, how many times have we said like, oh, like our mind tells us a story that, oh my God, it's so scary, it's so hard. And then we finally do it. We get enough courage and we do it. And it's like way easier. It was never what our mind thought, right?
Yeah.
And I think that at the end of the day, that to ego and humility. Ego was the mind will tell us we know what the heck we're talking about. Will tell us we shouldn't get vulnerable because what if they laugh at us or what if they reject us
Yeah.
or whatever the case
Yeah.
is. When in
Correct.
reality, that's what the world needs. We need to drop down to our hearts and connect heart to heart because that's the medicine that's needed for us to continue our journey in this thing called life, of growth and evolution,
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. And want to add that I just came for me, the darkness and the light that you were talking about is that you are the light at the end of your tunnel.
Yeah.
That's it. Like you need to go through the darkness, seeing the light just becoming bigger and bigger as you walk, take one step in the dark. So, and
we're all of it. We are the
Yeah.
darkness. We are the light.
Yeah.
Without the light, the darkness
Yeah.
doesn't exist. Without the
Yeah.
darkness, the light doesn't exist. It's the
Exactly.
duality that is a part of us within us. Yeah. So it's like now, there you go. That's to really sum it up with what we've been talking about today is to embrace that darkness, because when you embrace the unknown, when you embrace the resistance and the darkness, you're embracing yourself and a part of you. Damn, that was good.
Oh wow, David! I mean, I was fire, honestly. Like I feel like we didn't even, we just went into this with our hearts. We didn't even plan it or anything. It was just, and I knew it would flow. I knew it would flow, and it would bring exactly where it was needed. And I'm sure the listeners would love to hear this beautiful speech and just heart-to-heart conversation about about life and change. And I'm so honored. And I just, like I remember 2 years ago, I was so scared. I was just being there with my voice shaking. I messed up a few words. I was so upset. And, it was still early on. And I had lots of like limiting beliefs about things and about me speaking. But I've done it anyway. So I pushed through the fear.
You know what I would have loved in that moment, Sarah, when we were doing the podcast? You know what I really would have loved?
Yeah.
If you would have just farted in the middle of the conversation. Because then that would break the complete ice. Then you got nothing to fear anymore. And guess what? We all fart. So, hey.
And the thing is, you see, I love that. Oh my God, this is amazing. That's why, like, in my intro, I just put, to make sure, like, this is a podcast where we talk about, like, everything and anything, normal people, quote unquote, about normal stuff. Like, I love it. I love it. You see, that's what people want. Just like, relatability, and that's amazing. But I hope, well, luckily I didn't. Otherwise, I would probably like close the podcast right up.
You know what, Sarah? Like, I love this. It's so beautiful because that's another reminder, right? Is that we have to be gentle with ourselves. Like, that's loving ourselves, is being gentle, right? And we got to have fun and play, man. Yeah, we got to balance it all out. We got to play,
Just remember what we did as children, and be how we were as children, and then keep bringing that childlike personality and way of living life and throughout our adulthood, and people will feel so much better and so much happier.
Yeah, and last thing I'll share before we wrap this up to your listeners, there's no one that's got it fully together.
Yeah,
we're all trying to figure it out. You know what I mean?
And that was a huge realization for me, because I used to compare myself to others and think I was loser, I was this, I was that. And then, I mean, we're all people. We're all trying to bring ourselves back home.
For real.
That's all. But David, thank you from the bottom of my heart. It was amazing. It was just a great way of starting this. I feel so energized by this conversation. My heart feels very light and open, and I'm just glad of what we created this today. We created here today, and I'm sure it would resonate with so many people. And thank you again for everything that you do. people out there, you can find David Fernandez Jr. on Instagram. He shares so many amazing and empowering things, but also you can follow the podcast, which is called Earn Your Life, here on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts, I think, everywhere.
Yeah,
really,
it's everywhere. It's on every platform. Sarah, before I go, I want to honor you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for doing the package that you did as far as the chakra cleansing and the cards for the listeners. Like, I completely recommend it. It opened me up, and I just felt so light, and I felt guided. And so just thank you so much for your work. It was beautiful. And I just wanted to honor you in that way. It was awesome.
Thank you so much, David, for your love and support. Thank you. And it was my absolute pleasure. And it is to have you in my life. Thank you. So I hope you have an amazing day, and hopefully your chest now is filled with love and light.
Yeah.
And you will go about your night, actually, because it's nighttime there.
Yeah.
It's time to sleep.
But
thank you. Thank you so much, and I'll be in touch, of course, soon, and hopefully my listeners would hear more about you. Thank you, David. Thank you so much. Lots of love. Thank you.
Thank you.
And just before we conclude the first episode, which I'm super, super grateful for how it went, I'm just gonna give you one crystal as I promised at the beginning, which is called malachite. It's called the stone of transformation, and it's about the heart and the throat chakra, and absorbs negative energies, but also encourages you to take risks and embrace change, but also helps you with healing and releasing any old traumas, patterns, and any negative experiences that you had in your life, so then you can embrace change and transform your life in the life that you want. So thank you so much for listening to this podcast. And you can follow my page, healing.home on Instagram, and you can follow the podcast for more episodes about life change, and we're gonna keep spilling the spiritual tea about different topics. Thank you so much. I hope you have a lovely day.